Hi, today we will create a startup environment with AWS EKS. So the first step is we will create a EKS IAM rule for EKS service. So for this one, open your AWS account in the IAM in rule, create role, select for the EKS, next permission. We will go with the by default permission. Next tag, just click next, role name, EKS service role as per your choice and create role. The role is created now. For the verification, we can check here the role is created. Let's go to the next step. The next step is create your Amazon EKS cluster VPC. For this one, first we need to create a stack. Stack with the stack, we will create a stack in AWS Cloud Formation. So go to your AWS account in the Cloud Formation, create stack. Okay, we'll open it in the home screen. So for the Amazon S3 URL, I will just copy this URL here. Next, tag name, I will choose this one as per the documentation. Next, just let, yeah. Okay, here we will not select any rule. Click next, subnet key, and create stack. It will take a little bit time, so we just wait until it finish. It's in the progress. Just close the extra window here. So the next step is in the security group. Yeah, in our subnets, we will add this key. So for this one, we will open the VPC. VPC. In the subnet, for each private and public subnet, one by one, we will tag this key. Edit, create tag, just copy this key as per the documentation. Not create, we just add it. Save. And save. After that, go to the next step, install and configure kubectl for Amazon EKS. So in this documentation, we will see how to install the QBATCL. So we just copy this command in our for the window in the PowerShell. This one is for the Linux. Here in for the window, just copy the command and open PowerShell. Okay, in the CMD, let's try. Not in the PowerShell, we just try this command in the CMD, and we can see that the next step we will test it. Yeah, the client variant for the QBHCL is available. In the others, after this one, we will install the latest AWS CLI. So open the documentation for the installation of AWS CLI with the version 1. We can install it with the pip, and we can also install with the MSI installer. For the MSI installer, download the AWS CLI for Windows. After the download, just run the setup. Let's check our stack. Is it created? Okay, in the CLI, I accept term and condition. Next. Okay, and install. Give the admin access. In the service cloud formation, just check your stack status. Yeah, it's successfully completed. And installing the AWS command line interface for Windows. It's successfully installed. Let's go to the documentation. Just test this command in the CMD for the verification. Make sure that you already installed the Python. So I already installed the Python, so you just install it after the installation of AWS command line interface. Okay. So now we will create a Amazon EKS cluster. For this one, we will open the EKS console in our AWS account, services, EKS, in the cluster, create a cluster, not from here, cluster, create cluster. So I just open the Documentation in other side. Okay, for the cluster. Create Amazon EKS cluster. Cluster name as per our choice. Before we create the cluster, we will create a role for the Amazon cluster, EKS cluster. So for this one, go to the IAM role, create role. Before we create the role, yeah, we already created the role for the EKS. In the beginning, we check it. We can see EKS role. Yeah, it's already created. So let's go to the EKS console, services EKS, and cluster. Create cluster. Open the documentation here. This is the test EKS cluster 1. The version 1.4 as by default. Role name. Here we can select our role. The next is we will select the VPC before we created EKS VPC. We create a stack. So we will select the EKS subnet where here we can add, we remember that we tag the key in our private and the public subnet. So it's showing here now. And the private access is disabled. And there is nothing major changes, just create. We can see that the cluster it's in the progress, it's creating, status is creating, and in the documentation, the next step is create a kubeconfig file. For this one, we will use the AWS command line interface. So before we start the AWS command line interface, I will show you how to connect your AWS command line interface with your CMD. So here I will write AWS configure. AWS key ID, we need to give the key ID. So just go to your my security and credentials, key ID. Here, this one, before we create, so I have this downloaded file here, the key ID. We can create a key ID from the AWS portal. Here, can create a new access key. So I already have and I download it. So I just copy the key ID and paste it here. Secret key. Secret key is here. I just copy the secret key. Default region name, yeah, US is to the region I am using now. Output format, there is no need to write anything and create. Now our AWS CLI is connected with the CMD. So here I will the method how to create a kubeconfig file. AWS variant for just for the verification. Okay, here we just copy this command. For here I will write it here and make some changes. Region code. Region code will be the US East 2 and the cluster name. Let's go to the cluster and we will check the name. In the services EKS cluster test EKS cluster dash 1. Okay, so we will write the same name. Test EKS cluster 1. So just copy this command and write in the CMD. Cluster status not active. Yeah, cluster is in the creating mode. So we just wait until it finish. Cluster is still in process. It will take time. Just refresh. Yeah, our cluster is created now. So let's try the command again. Just file. So just check the file in the C. The user, mini user, the config file it's created. Okay, so open the documentation. So just test our configuration. Just copy the command and paste it in the CLI. Copy this command. You can see that cluster IP and it's showing here as per the documentation. So next is launch a manage node group. So before we start it, we need to create a role for our node for the EC2. So open the AWS account in the IAM. This documentation. AWS console management. Work node role. Click on role. Create role for the EC2. Next permission. Here we will choose some permission. The first permission name is Amazon EKS work node policy. Just copy and search the policy name. Select it. Now the second policy. Select the second policy and the third one. Select next tag. Here our three policies are showing. The role name, node instance role, and create role. In the search box, we can check our role is created. So now open the EKS console. In the cluster, the node group. Add a node group. The node group name, the test node group, IAM role, this one we created. Next the subnet, already the connected. Here we tag our ID in the public and private subnet. Key pair, select your key. I will go with the sample. In the tag, it's the optional. Create next. Select your instance for the GUI. I will select without GUI, GPU. and this type T2 micro. I will select the T3 micro and the disk size 20 GB. Create next ER22 node as per your requirement. Click next and create. Its status is in creating mode. Let's go to the documentation. The next step is we will get node watch. So we will just for the testing select this command, copy it and make sure that your group is created. It's still in creating mode. We just wait until it finish. This node group, it will take little time because of this node and we select the instance. It's take 5 minutes maximum. Within 5 minutes it will be done. So we just wait. Yeah, you can see that. The test node group, the status is active in the documentation. Just copy this command for verification. Copy and in the CLI paste. You can see that the status is ready and it's working very well. So if you go with the GPU, then you select this one. The instance you create the Linux to, I select without the GPU. If you select the GPU, then you just test this command. So this one will be graphic card installation and everything. So after that it will be done. So the next is how to delete all the instance we created. So let's go to the step by step. I will close the CLI, CMD and open the AWS account. First I will delete this group. Test node group. It's deleting. After this finish, I will delete this cluster. Test node group is still in deleting mode. Test EKS cluster 1. Test EKS cluster 1. Yeah, we need to wait until this one will delete. Until this one will delete, we will delete our other resources in the cloud formation. The stack, just delete the stack. And we will delete the role we created before in the IAM role. In the roles, the first role we create for the EKS service role, so delete it. Next, next role we was create for the EKS node. I will check the node name, role name once again for the verification. Node instance role. This one. So both role are deleted. So let's check our EKS node group. Yeah, our node group is deleted now. So now we will delete this cluster. Test EKS cluster 1, our cluster name, and confirm. So it is deleted. After some time it will delete successfully. So that's it. Thank you so much.